At 124,000 miles per hour, a silent intruder tore across the Martian skies, fast enough to circle Earth 5 times in a single minute. Astronomers called it 3I, Atlas, only the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected entering our solar system. But something extraordinary happened the moment it made its closest approach to Mars. NASA's data streams went completely dark. No images, no telemetry, no updates, just silence. The official reason was a government shutdown that conveniently paused non-essential services. But the timing, to put it mildly, couldn't have been more suspicious. Think about it, space agencies don't just go offline during historic events. They prepare for them years in advance, building redundancies to ensure data keeps flowing even through technical failures. Yet somehow, at the exact second the most mysterious interstellar visitor in decades passed near Mars, the lights went out. It wasn't just NASA, other international observatories suddenly reported server delays and access errors, creating a blackout that spanned continents. The world's scientific community was left staring into a digital void. Then came the silence, not just from data, but from leadership. No press conferences, no reassurance, no curiosity from the same organizations that normally celebrate every grain of cosmic dust. It was as if the world had collectively agreed to look away. That's when voices like Dr. Michio Kaku's began to rise above the static. This isn't just a rock, he warned. It's an anomaly that breaks the rules and perhaps something far more dangerous than NASA is willing to admit. To most people, 3I, Atlas is just a strange comet zipping past another planet, but those who have studied its path see something different, something deliberate. It's not behaving like any known object from beyond our solar system. It doesn't tumble randomly through space. It follows a course with mathematical precision. It releases bursts of gas that should alter its trajectory but don't. Its light signature shifts unpredictably, as if its surface is reflecting or hiding. Whatever 3I, Atlas is, it isn't just passing by. It's entering a region of space where our most advanced probes, satellites, and telescopes can all see it, and where its silence speaks louder than any signal. And that's what truly terrifies scientists like Kaku, the silence itself. Because when an interstellar visitor behaves this intelligently, and the agencies responsible for monitoring it suddenly fall quiet, the danger isn't what NASA tells us, it's what they refuse to say. When NASA's screens went dark, the ripple was immediate. Around the globe, observatories and university research teams were ready, waiting to capture a once-in-a-lifetime moment, the precise instant when 3I, Atlas passed within range of Mars. They had instruments calibrated, telescopes synchronized, and algorithms running to collect terabytes of data that could rewrite what we know about interstellar visitors. And then, just as the object reached its closest approach, everything stopped. Across control rooms from Tokyo to Berlin, scientists refreshed their systems only to find blank telemetry, corrupted packets, and error messages. The official explanation, a temporary communications disruption due to the U.S. government shutdown, felt like a pre-scripted excuse. Agencies don't simply lose contact with an event of this magnitude. There are backup networks, global redundancy systems, even private observatories ready to fill in the gaps. Yet somehow, every major data source went dark at once. It wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a total blackout. For nearly 48 hours, the digital silence was absolute. The timing couldn't have been worse. 3I, Atlas was, at the most critical point of its journey, its geometry aligned for perfect observation. Instead of groundbreaking images, the world got nothing but silence and speculation. Journalists tried to reach NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, only to receive the same carefully worded statement. Data transmission is temporarily suspended due to federal operations pause. But independent researchers quickly noticed something strange. Observatories in Europe and Asia were receiving partial signals, as if their feeds were being filtered. And then, fragments began to emerge. A few frames leaked through the blackout, low resolution, partially corrupted, but enough to ignite panic. The object didn't look like a comet. It wasn't spherical, it was elongated, almost cigar-shaped, like Oumuamua, the first interstellar object discovered in 2017. But unlike Oumuamua, 3I, Atlas, had no glowing tail, no icy outgassing, none of the signatures expected from a natural visitor. Instead, it was surrounded by a faint, hazy envelope of ionized gas, a luminous fog that behaved unlike anything in our scientific records. It didn't scatter light like dust, nor glow like vaporized ice. It absorbed and re-emitted radiation in a way that defied every model. Some astrophysicists proposed it was a new type of material, one capable of shielding the object from solar radiation. Others whispered about something more deliberate, a form of active concealment. Was 3I Atlas hiding its true surface, its true purpose? In the days following the blackout, the silence from NASA became more deafening than the event itself. No raw data, no updates, just vague statements about pending analysis. Yet outside the official channels, a growing number of scientists were comparing notes and realizing that the fragments they did receive didn't add up. The light curves suggested the object was rotating, but not tumbling like a rock. It was controlled, consistent, rhythmic. That kind of stability shouldn't exist in nature for something moving that fast through interstellar space. By the end of that week, one conclusion began to take shape among the independent researchers brave enough to speak publicly. This blackout wasn't caused by chance. It was a wall, a deliberate, coordinated barrier placed between humanity and the most extraordinary object ever to enter our system. And whatever was behind that silence, it wasn't meant to protect us from panic. It was meant to protect the truth. If the blackout had been the first red flag, what came next pushed the mystery into something far stranger. Once data began trickling back from independent observatories, astronomers noticed a pattern, one so statistically improbable that it bordered on impossible. 3I Atlas wasn't drifting randomly through space. It was traveling with mathematical precision, perfectly aligned within just 5 degrees of Earth's orbital plane. To the untrained eye, that might sound trivial, but to scientists, it's staggering. Interstellar objects typically enter our solar system from random angles, like pebbles hurled from every direction across a dark ocean. Their paths slice above, below, and through the ecliptic, the flat disk where our planets orbit with no sense of order. Yet 3I Atlas was different. It wasn't cutting through, it was moving along that plane, following the same invisible path Earth, Mars, and Jupiter trace around the Sunday. The odds of that happening by coincidence? Roughly 1 in 50,000, according to Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb. That alignment alone was enough to raise eyebrows. But what truly unsettled scientists was the way it moved, not as a tumbling fragment of rock, but as if it were following a designed flight path. Michio Kaku described it as a perfect cosmic trajectory, one that doesn't just obey gravity, but seems to anticipate it. It wasn't slingshotting unpredictably like other comets or debris. Instead, its curve through the solar system resembled an engineered route, optimized for encounters with major planets, as though it were intentionally gathering data or using gravitational assists. And here's where things become truly unnerving. Its path would take it past Mars, then near Jupiter, in precisely calculated intervals, the kind of orbital choreography that spacecraft engineers spend years planning. This is where the implications start to fracture into two competing theories. The conservative camp insists it's still a natural object, an astronomical fluke, a piece of cosmic debris that just happens to be in the right place at the right time. But the more daring voices, including Loeb and Kaku, have pointed out that the pattern fits too perfectly. If one were designing a probe to efficiently study multiple planets, this would be exactly the course you'd plot. Even more chilling is what the alignment implies about visibility. From a vantage point along that orbital plane, 3I Atlas would have a perfect view of Earth transiting across the Sun, the same method we use to detect exoplanets. Any intelligent civilization monitoring this region could have pinpointed our world long ago, noting its atmospheric composition, its reflective oceans, even its signs of life. In other words, the trajectory of 3I Atlas mirrors the exact line of sight one would choose to find Earth. Coincidence? Possibly. But when you combine this alignment with the blackout, the silence, and the anomalies surrounding the object's appearance, it begins to feel less like randomness and more like reconnaissance. In his lecture at the City College of New York, Kaku put it bluntly, if you were trying to hide a surveillance probe in plain sight, you'd make it look like this. You'd place it right where no one would question it, traveling a familiar path, reflecting familiar light. And perhaps that's the most unsettling part, because while NASA insists 3I, Atlas is merely another interstellar rock, its behavior suggests intent. It's not just where it's going, it's how it's getting there. Every curve, every angle, every gravitational encounter feels calculated. And if it truly is on a perfect trajectory, then someone or something designed it that way. If the trajectory of 3I, Atlas, raised eyebrows, its behavior shattered confidence in every known model of interstellar objects. As the data blackout faded and analysis resumed, what scientists began to uncover were not random oddities, but a pattern of 7 distinct anomalies, each more baffling than the last. Individually, they might be dismissed as measurement errors or coincidences. Together, they form a chain of evidence that points to something profoundly unnatural. First, its impossible mass. Estimates suggest over 73 trillion pounds, 6 million times heavier than SpaceX's Starship, yet moving with ease through the void. That sheer mass makes no sense for an object supposedly ejected from another star system. Interstellar space simply doesn't contain enough loose material to form something that big. And here's the most confusing part. Despite releasing visible gas and dust, which should act like small thrusters pushing it off course, its trajectory never changes. It's as if the object's inertia is infinite, as if it's anchored by something we don't understand. Second, the absence of smaller interstellar companions. If nature truly produced an object this size, there should be hundreds of smaller fragments traveling alongside it, a cosmic trail of pebbles and debris. But astronomers have found nothing. It's as if 3I, Atlas, appeared out of nowhere, alone, without a family of fragments to explain its existence. Third, its chemical signature doesn't match the cold, icy origins expected from comets born in deep space. Spectral analysis revealed traces of cyanide and carbon monoxide common in comets, but also silicate materials, typically forged in warm, rocky environments, more like the crust of a planet than the frozen reaches between stars. Some researchers now suspect that it could be a fragment of a planet, torn away and somehow hurled across interstellar space. Fourth, its resilience to solar activity. On September 25th, a powerful coronal mass ejection slammed directly into 3I, Atlas, a storm of radiation strong enough to shatter fragile comets. Yet this object barely reacted. No fragmentation, no sudden outburst of vapor, just a smooth, controlled expansion of its hazy envelope. To withstand that kind of assault, it would need to be composed of materials far beyond what nature casually assembles or what humanity can currently produce. Fifth, its light polarization. When sunlight bounces off the dust surrounding a comet, it polarizes in a predictable way. Every comet ever observed shows a positive polarization pattern. 3I, Atlas, however, shows extreme negative polarization, a reversal that's not just rare, but physically inexplicable. This means the dust, if it's dust at all, could be made of materials completely unknown to our solar system, perhaps metallic, complex, or even engineered. Sixth, its mathematical precision. As noted by Avi Loeb, its path is a 1 in a million alignment, an orbit that mirrors the design logic of a probe built for planetary survey. It follows the ecliptic, encounters key planets, and maintains consistent stability despite external forces. It's not just moving through space, it's navigating it. And finally, the seventh red flag, its shape, long, thin, and stretched far from the spherical forms nature prefers. Gravity naturally molds massive objects into rounded bodies, yet this one resembles a spindle, a ship, or a spear. It's a shape that's unstable for a natural object, but ideal for minimizing impact and resistance during high-speed interstellar travel. Each anomaly alone might provoke debate, but together they form a chilling pattern, one that refuses to fit within the laws of physics as we know them. And that's what worries Michio Kaku most. When science runs out of natural explanations, he said, what's left often rewrites our definition of reality. If 3I, Atlas, is natural, then the universe has just shown us something we've never seen before. But if it isn't, then it's something else entirely. As scientists compiled the list of anomalies, a new and deeply unsettling theory began to circulate quietly among those willing to break ranks. What if 3I Atlas isn't just a strange rock from another star? What if it's a Trojan horse, a disguised visitor, designed to look natural but built for something entirely different? It sounds like science fiction, the kind of thing whispered in late-night forums or buried in speculative papers. But the facts align too neatly to ignore. A massive, elongated object defying natural formation, a perfectly tuned trajectory that threads through key planets, a chemical composition suggesting an origin near a planetary surface rather than a frozen comet belt, and the blackout, the single most inconvenient silence in modern space observation history. Together, these don't form a coincidence, they form a signature. The phrase "the best way to hide a tree is in a forest" comes up often in theoretical astrobiology circles. If an advanced civilization wanted to explore other star systems without causing panic or interference, the smartest approach wouldn't be flashy lights or enormous ships, it would be camouflage. You'd send out probes that look ordinary, that pretend to be debris, comets, or asteroids. You'd let them blend in with the cosmic background until someone looked close enough to see the cracks in the illusion. That's precisely what makes 3I Atlas so unnerving. It behaves almost naturally almost. Every characteristic feels designed to pass casual inspection. The diffuse ionized cloud around it could easily mask heat signatures or emissions. Its steady rotation suggests stabilization, the same way our satellites maintain balance. Even its immense mass could serve a purpose, housing smaller payloads, data cores, or propulsion systems capable of surviving millennia between stars. Michio Kaku has hinted that if 3I Atlas were artificial, it would represent technology millions of years beyond our own. Not just advanced, ancient, patient, optimized. Imagine a civilization so old, he explained, that it doesn't need to conquer or communicate. It simply observes. It sends out seeds of awareness, mechanical or biological, to drift across the cosmos, silently watching, recording, learning. This concept has a name, the Bracewell probe hypothesis, proposed decades ago. The idea is that alien civilizations could send autonomous messengers to monitor young star systems like ours, waking only when signs of intelligent life appear. If such probes exist, they wouldn't announce themselves. They would hide, study, and move on, leaving behind only questions and whispers. So, what if 3I Atlas is one of them? What if its entry into our system wasn't random, but timed synchronized with our technological maturity, just as our radio telescopes and planetary probes began mapping the skies in earnest? The perfect window to study us without being noticed. Some theorists even suggest its odd reflective properties, that negative polarization and shield-like gas halo, could be intentional countermeasures, preventing detection by our sensors or cloaking internal heat sources. In other words, it's hiding in plain sight. Still, there's a darker possibility lurking beneath the intrigue: purpose. If this is a probe, what is it doing here? Observation is one thing, but what if it's transmitting? What if the silence from NASA isn't due to ignorance, but containment? A deliberate effort to keep what's already been found from reaching the public. Because if this object truly is artificial, then someone out there already knows we exist and may have known for a very, very long time. Not everyone agrees that 3I Atlas is a machine. For some in the scientific community, the idea of an alien probe is too radical, too destabilizing to even consider. Yet dismissing the evidence outright has become equally impossible. As the anomalies piled up, one astrophysicist proposed an alternative explanation, one that is no less extraordinary, but perhaps less frightening. Dr. Susanne Fenner, a German researcher specializing in planetary formation, believes 3I Atlas might be a planetary seed, a primordial building block sent drifting through space billions of years ago, capable of jump-starting the birth of new worlds. Her simulations revealed something astonishing. Under the right conditions, a massive interstellar core, like 3I Atlas, could become captured by the gravity of a young star. Instead of waiting millions of years for dust to coalesce into planets, this seed could accelerate the process, attracting matter, gas, and debris to form a fully realized world in a fraction of the time. In her view, this object isn't an invader, it's a creator. a spark of cosmic genesis that might have played a role in countless star systems across the galaxy. But that theory raises as many questions as it answers. If 3I, Atlas, is a planetary seed, where did it come from? Who or what launched it? Could life itself be the result of ancient mechanisms spreading raw planetary DNA throughout the cosmos? The concept, known as directed panspermia, suggests that life doesn't just happen, it's deliberately spread. And if that's true, then 3I, Atlas, could be part of a galactic cycle that has been running far longer than human civilization itself. Michio Kaku doesn't dismiss this possibility. In fact, he calls it the more optimistic interpretation. If the object's purpose is creative, not destructive, it could represent one of the universe's oldest and most sophisticated natural systems, or an engineered one designed by beings who view star systems the way gardeners view soil. It's a humbling thought that we might owe our existence to travelers like this, silently scattering the ingredients for life across time and space. Yet even this gentler theory carries a shadow. As 3I, Atlas accelerates toward the inner solar system, it's gaining speed currently over 82,000 miles per hour and climbing. By the time it nears the Sun, it will approach 100,000 miles per hour. That velocity means unimaginable kinetic energy. If it were to collide with anything, even a moon, an asteroid, or a planet, the result would be catastrophic. NASA insists the trajectory poses no threat, but comets and interstellar objects are notoriously unpredictable. A single outgassing event could alter its path by millions of miles. That's why agencies across the world are racing to gather data before it's gone for good. The European Space Agency's JUICE mission, originally designed to study Jupiter, is now expected to intercept the region of space 3I. Atlas will pass through in late 2025. Its instruments could finally confirm whether this object's surface bears traces of artificial structure, complex materials, or unusual heat signatures. But time is running out. If Fenner is right, 3I, Atlas might hold the secret of planetary birth proof that the universe is self-replicating. But if Kaku's darker suspicions are true, then this seed isn't here to grow new worlds. It's here to study one that already exists, ours. And that's what makes this mystery so haunting. Whether 3I, Atlas, is a creator or a machine, both possibilities point to the same unsettling truth. We are not just observers in the universe, we might be part of its design. As 3I, Atlas races deeper into the inner solar system, one thing has become clear: it's accelerating. Right now, it's moving at over 82,000 miles per hour, and soon it will break the 100,000 miles per hour threshold. That kind of speed isn't just impressive, it's terrifying. Because the faster it travels, the less time humanity has to observe it, to understand it, to decide what it truly is. For scientists around the world, the clock is ticking. Every passing hour is a lost opportunity. Every delayed data release a deeper mystery. According to NASA's orbital projections, 3I, Atlas, will make its closest approach to Earth on the 19th of December 2025 at a distance of 167 million miles. Safe by cosmic standards, but close enough to make this our final front row seat. After that, it will continue on its trajectory, slingshotting past Jupiter and eventually disappearing into the black ocean of interstellar space once again. If we fail to gather definitive data before then, whatever secrets it carries will be lost forever. The problem is, we may already have missed our chance. The data blackout during its Mars flyby still casts a long shadow. No one outside NASA and a handful of partner agencies truly knows what was captured during those critical moments or what might have been hidden. Every time journalists request access to the telemetry logs, they're met with silence or vague statements about data integrity reviews. Even the European Space Agency, normally open with its research, has released almost nothing from the Mars Express or Trace gas orbiter, which were positioned perfectly to observe the encounter. It's as if someone quietly ordered the world to look away. Meanwhile, Michio Kaku and other physicists have begun to frame this mystery in darker terms. When governments go silent about science, Kaku warns, it's never because they know nothing. It's because they know too much. That sentiment has ignited a wave of speculation online. What if 3I, Atlas emitted something, a signal, a frequency, a pattern that agencies are suppressing? Or what if it didn't send anything at all, but received something instead? The implications are staggering. If this object truly is artificial, the silence may not be protecting us from fear, it may be protecting someone's discovery. And the closer it gets, the harder that secret will be to contain. ESA's JUICE spacecraft, scheduled to intersect its path in November 2025, could become our last and only chance for direct confirmation. Instruments aboard JUICE are designed to detect infrared radiation, measure magnetism, and capture high-resolution imagery of distant bodies, tools that might finally tell us whether 3I ATLAS has a core of metal, machinery, or something even more exotic. But there's another fear quietly spreading through the scientific community. What if we don't want to know? What if, by the time JUICE captures those readings, it's already too late to change what's coming? As December 2025 approaches, the tone of reports has shifted from curiosity to tension. What started as an astronomical event has become a countdown not to impact, but to understanding. We are watching, waiting, measuring, speculating, and yet learning almost nothing. The silence is total, deliberate, suffocating. And somewhere out there, 3I, Atlas, keeps moving silent, steady, indifferent, like a messenger that has already delivered its message and is simply waiting for us to realize it. Because maybe the greatest danger isn't that it will strike us, but that we'll never find out why it came. In the end, no one knows what 3I Atlas truly is, and that may be the most terrifying truth of all. Every piece of data, every silence, every anomaly has led to one unavoidable realization. This object doesn't belong in our models of the universe. It breaks the rules, challenges our physics, and refuses to fit into any box we've built for it. And that's exactly what makes it a black swan event, something so rare, so unpredictable, that it forces humanity to rewrite what it believes about reality itself. Michio Kaku described it best: 3I Atlas is not just an object, it's a mirror. What we see in it depends on how ready we are to confront the unknown. For some, it's an innocent wanderer, a cosmic relic passing through. For others, it's a messenger or perhaps a warning from an intelligence far older than our own. But one thing is certain, it has already changed us. It has reminded humanity of how small we are, how fragile our understanding remains, and how quickly certainty dissolves when faced with something that refuses to explain itself. What makes this story so haunting isn't a collision, or destruction, or any Hollywood-style catastrophe. It's the silence, the coordinated blackout, the missing hours of data that could tell us what really happened near Mars. That silence has become louder than any explosion because in a universe that constantly speaks through radiation, magnetism, and motion, for something to go completely quiet means one of two things. Either we've reached the limit of what we can detect, or someone doesn't want us to. And as that realization sinks in, 3I Atlas continues its journey, a faint, cold blur against the infinite dark. By late December 2025, it will make its final pass, and then it will vanish forever, taking its secrets with it. When it's gone, we'll be left with nothing but fragments of telemetry, scattered reports, and the uneasy question of what or who sent it here in the first place. Maybe it was a seed of creation, maybe a probe of observation, or maybe something far beyond our comprehension, a traveler fulfilling a purpose older than our species. But perhaps the real story isn't out there among the stars, it's here, in the way we respond to mystery. For centuries, humanity has looked to the heavens and called the unknown divine. Now we look again, armed with technology and arrogance, and call it impossible. Yet impossibility is the birthplace of every great discovery. If 3I Atlas is natural, then nature itself is far stranger than we've ever imagined. But if it's not, then we may have just witnessed our first silent contact, one so subtle, so perfectly hidden, that it passed right in front of us while the world was too distracted to see. As the countdown to its disappearance begins, we're left with one chilling truth. The most powerful signal in the solar system right now isn't light, or sound, or data. It's silence. And perhaps that silence is speaking louder than anything NASA could ever admit.